is, running it down on these niggas.
Sex, drugs, money, and murder, my nigga. You know how we did it, my nigga. Still be painting them bitches, my nigga. Ripping that raw and fucking your bitches. Sex, drugs, money, and murder. 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 Niggas, they never gon' hurt you. Niggas, they never will hurt you. Sex, drugs, money, and murder. Sex, drugs, money, and murder.
Got the trap spot, understand how to get that. Ran down on them niggas with a flip back. Knew I never seen another nigga live like that. I was still getting stacks back. Had to fuck around getting them packs back. Niggas.
So ladies and gentlemen, it's your boy Bullets Gotti. Today on this blog, I'm talking about the street code is a myth. You know, the street code is absolutely a myth. And I'm going to tell you why the street code is absolutely a myth. Why is it a myth? Because nobody really lives it. It's flawed. The code was created, I told y'all before in many videos, but I'm going to tell y'all in this one. The code was created for the Italian mafia, right? It's code of silence. You know what I'm saying? The police believes in the blue wall of silence. They believe in old murder. You know, the mob believe in old murder, even though you have a few erratic. You know, even the Russian mafia believe in old murder. But to be honest, right? Do a murder really exist to black people, melanated people? No, it don't. As you can see with the whole chart, you will see with the whole thing with, you know, Gunna, you know, Young Thug, 6ix9ine, and the whole Treyway situation, and, you know, many other situations that you've seen where dudes keeping it real goes wrong and saying they stick to the code, but they're really not sticking to the code. You know, murder really don't mean nothing to everybody when you really look at it, because if you did, you will see a code of silence with people in the community. But, you know, when a code is not created for you, when it's created for a different population of people, of course you're not gonna have no loyalty. It's no death before dishonor. There's no such thing as death before dishonor. It's a different type of hate. Let me keep it real with you, right? The streets is over, okay? In 2022, the streets is dead. The game is over. You know, ever since the Patriot Act came in effect in 2002, the streets been dead. You know what I'm saying? There's no drugs really prevalent in the street like how it was in the 80s and the 90s and even in the 2000s. And she fine as fuck. She fired. And she bad too. She a bad little Asian bitch. But yeah, it's not prevalent in the streets like it was, you know, in the 80s, 2000s, 90s, and the 70s. You know, like I said, ever since the Patriot Act came in effect in 2002, the streets been dead. You gotta look who all been incarcerated in the 2000s that was a drug dealer, right? Big Meech, E.T. Hot, right? World Hardy, Kenneth Supreme McGriff, you know, D Nice from Brooklyn, you know, Jimmy Henchman a little later. But if you really look at it, they locked up all the big drug dealers from that 80s, 90s, 2000s, and even that 70s era. And you know, the whole Patriot Act was so crazy that everybody got incarcerated during that. You know, during that Patriot Act, during that 2000, 2002 era. You know, when them towers went down, the game was over. It was officially the nail in the coffin in the game. You see that? Nail in the coffin in the game was over by 2002. You know what I'm saying? It was over. You know what I'm saying? And that's why, if you look, why they were successful to get everybody, is that the war on drugs war wasn't over. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't over. And by the time Obama got in office, they done swept all the drug dealers off the streets. You know what I'm saying? So, you know, so people gotta understand the war on drugs, and you look at the streets right now, the game is over, but people is greedy. You know what I'm saying? People is greedy, they wanna relive something that's already done with. That code, that era is done with, man. Italian mob, they'll tell you, we don't sell drugs for a reason. Drugs lead to snitches. You know, if you really look at the drug game, it leads to snitches. The mob, they do everything else. Fencing, extortion, you know, different rackets, right? Protection of rackets, prostitution, gambling. Is because they don't lead to crazy numbers that you will lead to the football numbers you will get running a drug enterprise. So, like I said, the street code is a myth. It's flawed. You know what I'm saying? When you got dudes that believe in something that's flawed, it's flawed. It wasn't for you. It was for a certain group of individuals. Now, 2022, like I said, the drug game, the street game, there's no loyalty. Why do you think the mob said we stay away from drugs? Is because it was a reason why they stood away from drugs. Because there was no loyalty in that drug business. Just being honest with y'all. So, you know, when you looking at, like I said, when you look at the street code, it's a myth, man. You know what I'm saying? There ain't no loyalty to it. Dudes pick and choose which rat they want to rock with. Niggas pick and choose what rat they want to rock with. You know, they don't, it's no boundaries. You know what I'm saying? They giving passes. You know, look at Casanova. Casanova's told on Classic, and dudes still want to jack him. Corey King, confidential informant, dudes still want to jack him, right? You know, it's all about, you know, how you say, and there's a couple other rats out here that dudes is jacking, and dudes is still rocking with them because the biasness of the money, and the biasness of the clout. You know what I'm saying? And if you a rat, you a rat, man. Shouldn't be no biasness. You know what I'm saying? There shouldn't be no biasness. Shouldn't be no biasness. Dudes is basically giving you a pass because you got a bag. You know what I'm saying? If you a snitch, you a snitch. It's a lot of biasness with the streets. You know what I'm saying? Because the code, it has flaws. The code got flaws in it. You know what I'm saying? If you got niggas that say, oh, I stand by the street code. Oh, I'm real to the streets. I love these streets. You know what I'm saying? You gotta look at it, man. Like I said in the beginning of this video, you know, 2002, when the Patriot Act got pushed into effect as a law, the street gang was done. Everything is federal. You are now labeled as a terrorist. You know what I'm saying? That goes for the drug dealers. That goes for the street dudes. That's the hitters. That goes for everybody. That's why they're giving you crazy football numbers. You know what I'm saying? So why is it at the point that we still trying to push a code in the streets? It's too much politics, selective politics. You know what I'm saying? Dudes will defend rats. They will stand next to rats. They will say, oh, this one, oh, I don't like this dude. He's a rat, but he's not a rat. I expose Corey King, right? Who's an informant? Who's a snitch? And people will continue to still say that's fake paperwork. You know what I'm saying? And there's many other rats that are out here that are low-key CI snitches. You expose them, oh, you hating. He not a rat. Come on, son. Why you saying that about homie? He not no informant. But, dogs, this one is saying he's an informant. They calling these dudes informants. The problem with people is, and I keep trying to tell people, that there's no such thing as rules with people. See, one thing I respect about the mob, right? Once you a rat, whether you are a CI snitch or whatever, you are out. When you become a liability, you are out. They don't accept you in the mob. Liabilities is not respected in the mob. You know what I'm saying? You can say how much of a real made man you are, but if you violate the code of ethics or anything, you are now, like, even if a person get locked up and contained, in the mob eyes, you violated. Because if you don't stand tall and they get an inkling, it's like somebody like, I'll give you a perfect example. If they arrest somebody that's like the front man for their racket, and they have an inkling that he might testify or snitch, he's disappearing. He's disappearing. Straight like that. You don't either take the money, and if you don't take the money, that means you're an informant and you're becoming a liability. The streets, and I'm going to keep it in the urban environments, they don't look at dudes as liabilities. You know what I'm saying? The greediness is what, see, just look at a lot of these organizations. Black and Hispanic organizations, whether it's the cartels, whether it's the street gangs, right? You know how they able to break these organizations down? Because they don't have a code of ethics. You know what I'm saying? They don't run it as corporation, right? Perfect example, right? If you look at the street gangs, right? And the drug crews, the little drug cartel crews, you know what I'm saying? And you look at them and how they able to get broken up, right? It's because they can allow somebody to infiltrate them. And a lot of these organizations are able to get infiltrated because they are so open to people to go and infiltrate. That's why these gangs are easy to infiltrate. That's why these street crews is easy to infiltrate, because they'll let anybody in, not vetting the person. And then when they do that, they kick themselves in the ass. They wonder why the organization got infiltrated and got dismantled. It's because they let any and everybody in. Jazz Hayden, perfect example. He did business with a DEA agent, which caused the arrest of Nicky Barnes. They didn't have Nicky Barnes on camera touching drug money or having conversations with Diaz or none of that. No, they had Jazz Hayden doing business with them. And Wallace Rice. These were the dudes that was doing business with this man. So you got these dudes doing business. You basically led this man in his incarceration because you, as the dude that's supposed to be a smart, crafty dude that's supposed to know this ain't right, how they get some of this money. It's like that scene in The Wire, right? Where Avon is barking at Stringer. And he's telling him, yo, how Orlando get all this money? He said, yo, that's police money. You got to burn that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what people got to understand, bro. You got to really look, like the streets, to me, it's a lot of flaws in it, man. And dudes don't play the streets right. Like I said, the drug business is the drug and the murder game business, you are going to get a lot of snitches in it. But the drug business will lead to a lot of snitching. It'll lead to a lot of snitching. The drug business. It leads to a lot of snitching. That's why the mob was telling all their members in the 70s and even in the 60s, stay away from the drug business. It brings informants. We don't want to involve ourselves in this business. You know what I'm saying? We got politicians in our pockets, police. We got the whole 9 yards in our pockets. We don't want to be involved in a business where it leads to snitching and people telling each other. That's why the mob lasted for 100 years and still here. Mob been in this country since the 1900s, and they still in power, being low key. Nobody knowing who's a part of the mob. They're a low key organization. When you say a secret society, that's a secret society right there. Well, you don't know who's a mafia member. It's a secret society. They don't do interviews. You have never seen an active mobster do an interview. Or even a mobster that retired do an interview. You may see the rats do interviews, but you have never seen an active mobster or formal mobster do an interview. Like, do a whole interview. Like, I saw, like, you know, Michael France's pops did one, but he's much older. You know what I'm saying? And it was late in his life. But when he was in his prime, you never seen him do an interview. You never seen these guys do like real live interviews talking about the mafia life unless they flip. You know what I'm saying? They don't talk about that life in interviews. They don't deal in that. You know what I'm saying? Like when I look at a lot of these dudes in the streets, when they involving musicians and like Frank Sinatra, Tony Bennett and all them, Dean Martin, these dudes had mafia ties. Frank Sinatra had the most mafia ties. You know what I'm saying? So he had the most mafia ties than anybody. You never seen him around none of these gangsters doing mafia shit. So, it's what it is, man. Niggas want to be like mafia dudes, but can't play by mafia rules.